If you're clapping cheeks, then you're probably going to be assembling a bookshelf or something eventually. Trying to talk to women these days is a lot like trying to deal with a cable company. You know, when the cable company just randomly decides to increase your monthly bill, then you try to call to talk them back down, but you end up being on the phone for like 2.5 hours just trying to navigate the impossible labyrinth of automated robot voices. Then at the end of all that, maybe finally you might manage to get a few dollars taken off your bill, but it's still higher than it was before. Or maybe you had to switch to a different package with slower internet speeds or something like that to get the same cost. It's just so exhausting because when you initially signed up, you thought you knew the deal you were getting into. But then after 6 months or a year, however long it is, your bill just suddenly goes up. And now you got to act like freaking Saul Goodman trying to defend yourself. And it's just a lot of effort. It's exhausting. You can never get exactly what you want. You always lose something. Somehow, you always lose. Well, that's what it's like being in a relationship with a woman these days. Or really even just talking to a woman. I just had an experience the other day that confirmed yet again just how exhausting women can be, but we'll get to that in a minute. At this point in my life, just seeing an attractive woman makes me absolutely exhausted. And I'm not just talking about like really attractive women. I just have female fatigue, really. Anytime I see a woman that looks good enough that I would want to date her, which that's not a very high bar, by the way. I do not have super high standards. But anytime I even see a woman like that, I feel like I'm looking at a Rubik's Cube or something. Like, I already know, even if I gave it my best effort, it wouldn't matter. I'd just be spinning the thing around randomly, essentially, because I don't know how the fuck to solve a Rubik's Cube. You can't solve a Rubik's Cube without knowing the algorithm. And I don't know the algorithm. So I'd just be wasting my time if I even pick the thing up. So that's kind of what it's like talking to women. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube without knowing the algorithm. You can try all you want, but it's gonna be exhausting and mentally draining, and you're pretty much definitely not gonna be getting anything out of it. Like, you're definitely not solving the Rubik's Cube, but you're also not even getting any closer. You're not even gonna be making progress without the algorithm. You have to know the algorithm. So you're not even learning anything from all your effort. It's just a big, exhausting waste of time. And that is exactly what dealing with most women is like these days. Except, if anything, talking to women is actually worse because there is no algorithm to learn. The only solution is having been born with a chiseled jawline and a good eye area. If you don't have that, or, not necessarily just a good jawline or whatever, but if you don't have the looks to be attractive to women, you don't have the face, you don't have the height, then you don't have the algorithm. There's nothing you can do to make it worth it. You're just setting yourself up to experience more exhaustion later on. So we've had a few nice warm days recently around where I live. So I decided to go on a bike ride the other day. So I was riding on this path near my house. It's like a little path that goes around all these little fishing ponds, and there's a park with some soccer fields and everything like that. But anyways, so as I was riding, I passed this woman that was walking the opposite direction, and she had like the perfect combination of features to trick my brain into thinking I might actually have a chance. But she was also attractive enough that I immediately had that impulse of like, God, I would love to get with this woman. So basically, her face wasn't really that attractive. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. She was kind of fat, and she looked older, as in she looked probably about my age, but she had wide hips, and I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had this experience, but sometimes you see a woman that she's attractive enough to make you want her, but at the same time, she's unattractive enough that you think, well, maybe I actually have a chance here, because most guys probably would not go for her. So that's the way I felt when I saw this woman. And so I rode past her, and the way the trail is, it's not a loop, okay? It's more like a straight line. So when I get to the end of the trail, I have to turn around and ride back the same way I came. So I knew I would be passing her again. And I don't know what it is. I think just because I was actively in the middle of a cardio session, so I had all my endorphins going crazy, dopamine and everything, just making me feel invincible. I was feeling the sunlight on my skin for the first time in a while. And also, I think maybe because my channel's been doing pretty well lately, like I just had an unusual amount of confidence. So the whole time after I passed this woman, I kept thinking like, I should stop and try to talk to her. She's older, she's post-wall. She's probably undesirable to most men. Even to me, honestly, if I hadn't been on like a week and a half of nofap by that point, I probably wouldn't have even noticed her. So I don't know if this ever happens to any of y'all, but I started to kind of feel guilty about the idea of not approaching her. Because here's the thing too. I know that I have no chance, even with this woman who was probably below my looks match, because I know how it is. Women's standards are absolutely crazy. Plus, she's older, so she's probably married anyways. But my brain does this thing sometimes where it's like, okay, all the right signals are there, as in, I've seen this woman that is not conventionally attractive, and also physically, my body is urging me to go get her. So it's like the perfect combination of desire and potential for success that my brain starts to make me feel guilty for even thinking about not trying. Even though deep down, really, I know it's not worth it, because realistically, even if I stopped and actually managed to have a good conversation with this woman, I mean, it's not like she's just gonna come home with me right then and there. It would be so much work to even get to the point that I'm actually getting any benefit out of this interaction. So I know it's not worth it. I know I'm just, if anything, setting myself up for more exhaustion in the future, but that's how I was feeling. I was feeling like I have to do this. And it was like as soon as I passed her, my brain is just telling me, this is your moment. She probably never gets hit on. You actually have a chance here. It would be stupid not to try. So I started to feel guilty about the fact that I know I'm probably not going to try. But as I kept going, just pedaling along, knowing I'm going to be passing by this woman again in a few minutes, I started to feel like, you know what? I am going to do this. I've actually been having pretty good luck lately, just with YouTube going pretty well and everything, and I have nothing to lose. I don't even ride on this trail very often. I don't come to this park much. I'll probably never see her again. I've never seen her before. So I came up with a plan to basically, as I passed her, I'll stop and I'll say, "Excuse me, I just wanted to let you know that I think you are absolutely beautiful." And then I'll ask her for her number. Which I've only ever done something like that one time in my entire life, and it didn't work at all. I got rejected. I made a video about it actually, but I think that one was a Patreon exclusive. But basically, it was probably about 15 years ago. I tried to hit on a girl I saw at Target, and I got rejected. It's not that interesting a story, but that's pretty much the whole thing. But that time was a lot like this, where I felt guilty about it if I didn't approach her, because I guess just all the right signals were there to trigger my brain to think that I really needed to approach. Okay, so I'm riding along. I've got this plan. I know what I'm going to say. And after I turned around to head back in the other direction, that's when I started to get really nervous because at that point it started to feel more real, like, oh, okay, I'm actually about to do this. But I kind of felt like I felt like I have to do this. Like the guilt over not doing anything would just eat me alive. So I'm riding along and I went around a curve and I saw her. And I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but also it's like, what are the chances of this happening? So I went around this curve and I saw her up ahead on the path and she was talking to some guy. It looked like he was probably out to go on a run, and I guess he noticed her and probably had the same thoughts I had, like, oh, she looks attainable. Because I'm pretty sure it was just a random guy that stopped to hit on her. I don't think they already knew each other, because I actually saw when he first approached her, they were really far ahead on the path, so I couldn't hear anything, but right when I came around that curve, I saw this guy was walking up to her, and then she stopped and she took her earbuds out. I guess maybe just the way, like she didn't wave to him or anything. She looked sort of apprehensive at first. So I don't know exactly how to explain it, but everything about their body language and everything, I'm pretty sure they did not know each other. And then when I actually did get close enough that I was about to pass them, they were kind of blocking the path. So I actually had to slow down a little bit. So then the guy saw me and he was like, oh, well, I guess I better get out of the way. And then he said to the woman something like, well, if you ever change your mind, you got my number. And I did see him giving her a business card or like a little piece of paper or something when I was further back. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that was him giving her his number. And this was just a random guy that saw this overweight post-wall butterface walking along the path, and he had this same exact idea that I had. But I wasn't disappointed about it. It was actually a huge relief because obviously I can't approach her right after another guy already did, but that made it so at least I didn't have to feel guilty about it. And ultimately, I probably would have chickened out anyways. Like, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have actually done it. I really don't know. Just knowing from my past, usually I chicken out of things like that. But it was a relief, that I didn't have to feel guilty about it after all. But also just the fact that, when I saw her, I thought, there's no way this woman gets approached regularly. She's really just not very good looking. The only reason I was getting urges looking at her is because my standards are super, super low after years upon years of getting no action whatsoever. And I was on like 9 days of nofap by that point. But then look what happened. She obviously does get approached regularly because I doubt it's just a coincidence that this other guy approached her at the same time I was thinking about it. She probably just gets approached all the time, like every time she goes out. I mean, I guess that's Juggernaut law in action right there. No matter how unattractive a woman is, you're still competing with at least hundreds of other men, including Chad. The guy that I saw talking to her was pretty much a Chad, by the way. Maybe more Chad light. But he was probably at least 5 years younger than me, and he had what looked to be a probably $30 haircut. So, yeah, that's Juggernaut law. Female SMV is unstoppable. Just imagine if I hadn't seen that, too. Like, if I had been, let's say, 10 minutes slower on the path. Then I actually approached this woman thinking I'm the first guy that's approached her in 10 years probably. I would have just been making a fool of myself. She's got infinite options. And it just goes to show just how exhausting it must be to court any woman these days, regardless of how attractive she is. Because even if you're successful, like imagine for a minute if I had approached this woman and she did agree to go out with me. Imagine how exhausting it would be trying to maintain that attraction when she's got chads hitting her up left and right. Imagine if it got to the point we're actually in a relationship. I would never be able to relax because I'd always be in constant competition with a never-ending list of other guys that all want her. And she knows that, obviously, so she's going to use that as leverage. So that gives her license to be as demanding as she wants. It's really tiring to even think about it. But that's how it is. Any woman, regardless of her looks, her value as far as how badly men want her affection, women's value is just astronomical. So they can be picky. They can be demanding. So imagine how much work it would be just trying to make sure your girl doesn't want to leave you for one of her many other options. You already have to jump through hoops just to get with a woman in the first place, because women tend to only find like 10% of all men attractive. So you either got to be the best looking, or maybe the most socially connected, or maybe just really well off financially. Okay, you have to have a lot going for you. And then after that initial attraction that first draws her in, then you got to keep working to maintain it, or she'll probably leave you for someone else. Because again, every woman has a never-ending army of suitors. And the longer you are in a relationship with someone, women especially, I think it's like this for men too, but you just get bored of that person. Okay? And women especially, the longer they're in a relationship with a man, they start to, it doesn't matter who it is, even like, Henry Cavill or whatever, the longer a woman is in a relationship with a man, she just gets fatigued with him. She gets bored with him. She gets tired of him. And she starts to have thoughts that she might want to move on, might want to swing on that branch, try something new. So it's just, you have to constantly be working to maintain attraction. And it's exhausting. Like, I know there's guys out there that they rise to the challenge. They love it. They're competitive by nature. I just want to fucking relax, I just want to chill. It just sounds exhausting to me. So women's expectations are through the roof. They expect to be treated like a Disney princess at all times, even when they look less like Cinderella and more like the fucking pumpkin carriage she rode in on. But it doesn't even matter. Juggernaut law. Women have so much leverage in a relationship. It's so easy for a woman to just switch to a different guy at the drop of a hat if her current guy does any little thing wrong. It's exhausting. I think it is true that men need physical intimacy with a woman just like we need food or we need water. I mean, you obviously won't die without it, but you do need it if you want to be mentally and emotionally stable. So I understand why we do it, but when you think about it logically, it's not even almost worth the effort it takes to attract a woman, and then plus all the effort it takes to maintain that attraction. Just to be putting in all this mental and emotional labor day in and day out, and physical labor too. I mean, it's pretty much a given unless you're a Chad. If a woman's letting you mess around with her, then there's probably an expectation that you will be responsible for helping her out with any kind of menial labor like moving a couch or mowing her lawn, changing a ceiling fan, just anything like that that needs to be done. If you're clapping cheeks, then you're probably going to be assembling a bookshelf or something eventually. It's just exhausting. I'm getting tired just thinking about it. I remember after my parents got divorced, my mom started dating guys she met on Plenty of Fish. This was before Tinder and everything came out. So anyways, at some point she was moving. So of course I had to help her move, which no big deal. I don't mind helping my parents with stuff like that. But she also got this guy that she met on Plenty of Fish to help her move. I think they had maybe had like 2 or 3 dates before that, but it was the only time I ever met the guy. But yeah, my mom suckered this guy into helping her move. Well, we had to go by my cousin's house to pick up a fridge because she was giving my mom her old fridge. So this guy is unplugging the fridge and just unhooking everything so me and him can take it out and put it in the trailer. And I guess he forgot to turn the water off, or maybe he didn't know he needed to. I don't know. But he unhooked the water line from the back of the fridge and it just started spraying all over him. And my mom immediately just busted out laughing. She was cackling like a damn witch. And you could just see the guy was getting really pissed off because he's just getting soaked and he's like trying to plug the pipe with his hand and he's trying to tell me and my mom to turn the water off. And my mom couldn't even hear him. She was laughing so loud. And I just didn't know how to turn the water off. I was a teenager at the time. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I didn't know anything about how appliances hook up and how you control the water and stuff in the house. I just had no idea. My dad always did that stuff when I was growing up, so I never had to. I just didn't know about it. But yeah, so my mom suckered this simp into helping her move. She had him driving to multiple locations to pick things up, like this refrigerator, and then he gets water sprayed all over him, and my mom just laughs in his face. Like the hardest I've ever seen anyone laugh. It was absolutely brutal. Because it was very clear that the guy didn't think it was funny at all. He was so mad he was turning red. I even had to tell my mom to go outside because she was just laughing right in his face, and she would not stop. Even after he figured it out and he got the water turned off and we were taking the fridge to the trailer, my mom was still out there in the driveway laughing her ass off. And I remember telling her in the car after that, because the guy, he was in his own vehicle and me and my mom were in a different car. I told her, like, hey, this guy is helping you out for free. That's messed up to laugh at him like that. He did not think it's funny, and also he didn't deserve that. And she was just like, oh, give me a break. It was hilarious. Like, just no sympathy whatsoever. So, yeah, that's how it is dealing with women. And I don't think my mom is a statistical outlier. I think most women will make you jump through hoops and hook up their new dishwasher or move a refrigerator for them or assemble their new desk from IKEA or whatever. That's just the expectation. And if you don't do it, I mean, if you're Chad, you could get away with it, I'm sure. But then again, she probably wouldn't have even asked if you were Chad. They know the deal when it comes to Chad. They make it easy for him. They're on their best behavior for Chad. But for the rest of us, you want to clap cheeks? Then you better get ready to turn wrenches. I guess. Because if you won't, then I bet some other guy will. And that's just the physical labor we're talking about. The emotional labor is the worst part. Imagine finally settling for a chubby 35-year-old single mother with a subpar face just because you have a physical need that needs to be met and you need a woman to do that for you. So you settle for what you can get, but then she still has all the leverage in the world. So you got to sit there next to her for 2 hours every single day, listening to her talk about how her coworker was mean to her other coworker or whatever, just droning on about every little interaction she had throughout the day, as if any of it even matters at all. But you just got to sit there and listen, wasting your whole damn day. And then after all that, maybe you get a handy or something if you're lucky. Or maybe she'll be too tired. Or she'll just say she has a headache or something. Is it really worth it? That's what I wonder. Is it really worth it? It's exhausting to even think about what I would have to endure to just maybe get some affection. I mean, if you're in a relationship with someone that you really care about, I get that listening to them talk about their day or whatever, or doing little things around the house to help out. If you're in a good reciprocal relationship, then it's all good. I would gladly assemble a new IKEA coat rack that's called the Slosfregard version 3 or whatever. I would gladly do that for a woman I loved, who loved me back and actually showed me affection. No problem. But I'm pretty sure that's not the deal that most men get. And that is certainly not the deal I would ever get. With my very small and bald cranium, I don't think I'm getting that deal. But I know I would have to do it. I mean, in the 2 weeks, if that I was with the Indian girl, I got zero affection, pretty much. But you bet your ass, I did have to sit there for hours at a time sometimes on the phone listening to her talk about how she thinks one of her classmates insulted her or whatever. It really was exhausting. But, I thought maybe I would get to at least squeeze some melons before it was all said and done. I didn't, by the way. I got nothing. And now she's dating her professor, of course, because, of course she is. Of course. But that's just the reality of dating modern women. You have to be their therapist, their handyman, their personal jester, everything. And again, I would do all that and more happily if it was a good relationship where I was also being treated well by the woman. But I think that's rare because generally speaking, women have the leverage and they know it and we know it and they know that we know it. So you got to jump over hurdles. You got to dodge obstacles and everything else just to get a little bit of affection. And if you have to do all that work just to get it, is that even real affection? I don't know. But back to the analogy with the cable company, when you first sign up with your cable company or your internet service, whatever kind of bundle deal you got going, when you first sign up, even then, it's probably not a great deal, but you got to take what you can get. You don't have a lot of options. So you settle for some ugly face, overweight post-wall, you settle for Comcast or whatever. But even knowing it's not a great deal, you can at least accept okay, well, this is the deal I get. This is my option. Fair enough. This is the deal I get. But then after a while, they just suddenly try to change the terms of the original deal. So with the cable company, they try to up your bill suddenly by $30 without you noticing. And with your girlfriend, it might be all of a sudden no more doing it on weekdays or something. I don't know. But they try to change the deal. They change the terms of service. And it's just fucking exhausting. But the crazy thing is, even though I do get an overwhelming feeling of exhaustion whenever I look at a woman these days, I still can't stop desiring them. I guess that's just what it is being a man on this prison planet. It's exhausting. If you were entertained by this video, or if you found anything I said thought-provoking, please watch some of my other videos. Like and subscribe if you want, or check out my Patreon. I actually have some secret videos on there that you can actually watch for free, by the way. You don't have to even sign up or anything. But yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.